Welcome to the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast with your host, Julie C. Butler. If you're looking to build the business of your dreams, then this is the space you want to be in. Join Julie as she talks about ways that you can successfully scale your profitable dream business, one that will give you ultimate time freedom and the abundant lifestyle you deserve. Julie will take you by the hand, sharing with you her business savvy strategies as she chats it up with her favorite online entrepreneurs. You'll get a weekly dose of boosted confidence as you learn as they reveal their insight, tips, and tools that you need to start building a profitable dream business of your own, one that you'll love and that works for you on autopilot.
Hello, welcome back to the BBB podcast. Today we have the beautiful Abigail on the pod with us. Abigail is the visibility goddess, is a human design visibility mentor, international speaker, and thought leader in Aquarian age female leadership. Based on 28 years of coaching and mentoring thousands of women leaders in Fortune 500 companies and her own coaching business, she's developed the tried and trusted Illuminate method. It empowers visionary women to amplify their visibility, impact, and wealth, and grow their conscious business empires without the hustle. Hey, Abby, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you today. We're going to talk about human design, and this is one of my favorite topics. And I'm so looking forward to having this conversation with you. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie. I'm very excited about this conversation.
Awesome. So before we get started, I know I already kind of, introduced you before we got together, but you want to share a little bit about yourself before we dive into the juicy topic?
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in the UK and I love to travel. I travel all over the world and I've designed my business so that I can do that. Freedom is my number one value. And what I really love to do is I really love to work with entrepreneurial women and help them to be more visible and confidently express within their business, predominantly so that they can grow their business big and create success and freedom and wealth. My story is that when I first started my business 7 years ago, I was really hustling hard. I was sort of still recovering from corporate burnout and thought it was the only way to build business. And it's not. It's not the only way to build business. We can build our business based on our own energy resource and our own desires and our purpose. And that's why I absolutely love human design. I discovered human design about 7 years ago, same kind of period.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Loved it, thought it was amazing. I just spoke to a woman at a conference who told me about it. I was in Palm Springs and she was telling me all about human design. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Right, next thing. But it kind of stuck and it kept coming up and again until I was like, right, I really need to take notice of this, and started to introduce it in my own life and realized that as a projector, I'm not designed to hustle and work hard. And I've been paying thousands of dollars to incredible coaches and mentors that were teaching me how to build business their way, which was to hustle and work hard, and realized that I'm not designed to do that. And then I started to introduce it into my business and work for my clients. So that's what I do. That's why I love to share human design. And that's my purpose and my passion.
I love that so much. And, it's so true. Like what you were talking about, like me too. Like I discovered human design, let's say a couple of years ago, but like at first I was like, oh, intrigued. But then, once I figured, like once I did, you do the chart, right? Like you figure out what your human design is. And once I did that and I started kind of like reading into it, and I was amazed. And I was like, finally, I understood. Like, it's amazing how it can really put some perspective into your life. Like you can really start to understand who you are, how you do things. And now, like, I have no problem saying, nope, that's not my human design. I'm not, that's why I do it this way, or that's why I don't do it this way. Isn't it true?
I love that you do that. I love that you do that. And I love systems. I love to learn about systems, and if it really lights me up and I find it useful, I love then to share that with other women. And I know that you're the same as well. Like what you do is incredible, right? You just take these complicated processes and then break it down and make it really easy for another person to understand and to learn more about it. But I'm really anti putting you in a box. I mean, I was brought up in a religious cult. You can't get more of being stuck in a box than that. So I'm not good at restraints, right? Being told that I can only be a certain way. But what I love about human design is that you can use it as that guidance, and you can experiment with it and have fun with it. And yes, absolutely, I follow it because it works, but I'm not following it because I'm told, because I'm a projector, I can only do this. I'm following it because it brings me joy and it lights me up and it makes me feel very valuable and successful, according to my human design type. So I love it. I'm like, no, I need to go and have a projector sleep. I'm sorry, I'll have to deal with that later. And it's just like my favorite thing to do, because I'm like, well, actually, I've always wanted to go and have a nap in the afternoon, but before I used to beat myself up and feel guilty about it and think that people would think that I was a lightweight. And now I'm like, no, it's because I'm a projector, and if you want my juicy wisdom, let me have a nap first and then we'll create magic.
I'm a generator. Maybe you already knew this about me, but I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I can't have a nap because I am so in love with working my business that I have things to do and I'm going to do them.
Yeah, that's so cool. And like, work is your rest. As
Yes,
long as
absolutely.
it needs to be lighting you up, but as long as it's lighting you up, you work, and that's your rest. You don't need to
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah, it's funny. I discovered a few years ago, well, several years ago now, that my iron levels were actually lower than normal. And I'm like, how come then I'm never tired and stuff like that? And my friend said to me, "Oh, it's because sometimes you thrive off of adrenaline because you love so much what you do." But now if you pair that with human design and my human design and how I do things and like it just makes so much sense now. And we're going to dive into human design now, and but I just wanted to share that like once I started knowing my human design, it explained so much about the way I did things, and sometimes I felt guilty, like I felt guilt in the way I did things or didn't do things. And when I knew more about my human design, it allowed me to get, I guess, the permission or to remove that guilt and be like, you know what? No, that's the way I'm made. And it's totally okay. Right. So Abby, let's first start with like, what is human design? Because I know that it's a little bit more talked about now, a little bit, maybe I think more and more people know what human design is, but I think it's still that thing out there. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, joys of working from home, right?
Ah,
I'm going to close the door.
no worries.
Awesome. Okay. So, Abby, let's start with what is human design? Because I know that it's that thing that, I think more and more people are starting to learn about, but still, I think a lot of people don't know about it. And it's this thing that I think we should all know about because it explains so much about who we are.
Mm. I agree. And this is my mission, to really bring it into the mainstream, but especially with female CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners, founders, because it's interesting you should say, I used to feel like this, but I used to feel really guilty about it. Well, we're so good at doing that, especially as women. We're so good at finding things about ourselves, natural tendencies, what our body's trying to say to us, especially in terms of how we divide our time and how we work, how we use our energy. We're good at taking those things and then feeling really guilty about it. And actually, one of the biggest breakthroughs that any woman has actually that works with me and learns about human design is not human design helps you discover your blind spots and helps you uncover a lot of things that maybe you weren't aware of. But the most common thing is, oh my goodness, like I always knew this about myself, but I thought that I was weird, or I didn't think that it was a very good attribute to have, or I felt lazy, or I felt like disconnected. And it's like you said, it gives you permission to be yourself. And another thing that we're really good at is comparing ourselves to other people, especially in the entrepreneurial world, comparing ourselves to others and then beating ourselves up about it. I used to do it all the time, especially when I first started my business. I was like in these incredible masterminds with who I know now are manifesting generators and manifestors and generators. And I'm like, who are these people and how have they got all this energy? And they were over there like building their businesses, and I'm over here like not doing it and just comparing myself to them. So it kind of gives you permission to be yourself and to work with your natural tendencies. So the best way to describe it is funny. I'm doing a keynote talk in Spain in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm just putting together some material around around the topic, but particularly about how to really use human design as a tool to stop the burnout and to stop the hustle, and to actually, build businesses that we can thrive in and that we are able to sustain. And this is one of the things that I'm talking about. Like when I introduce human design, I want you to imagine that Myers-Briggs and astrology became lovers. They became lovers and they had a love child in the 80s in Ibiza. That is basically what human design is. So it's like and those of you who come from a corporate background, I'm sure that most people have heard of Myers-Briggs or something like that, like a personality test. Well, human design really is like a personality test, but it's based on your birth details. So it really brings in that beautiful, like mystical, like new age elements of astrology as well, which, more and more of us are actually starting to take seriously and realize that there's some real substance to it. So it really helps you find that cosmic balance between the male and female energy. It's also known as the science of differentiation. And that's really important to point out. So this isn't a box that you put yourself in. It's not like a structure as such. It's a very flexible structure, but it shows us that we're all unique. We're all completely unique. But actually, at a higher level, there are 5 human design types, and each type has a strategy for you to manage your energy, to show you how to work, to show you how to build relationships, to show you how to be visible, how your energy is received. It's so valuable as you are building your business to understand the human design of yourself, the human design of your teams, and also the human design of your clients, because it really does help with that visibility. And immediately I know how to coach a client dependent on her human design type, because I know how she's going to receive that guidance and how I'm going to be able to build that relationship with her. And really what I love about it is that it puts you in, once you start to really value and appreciate yourself and fall in love with yourself in that way, it puts you in such a state of joy and bliss and self-acceptance that you can't help but attract opportunities into you. So, clients, business opportunities, relationships, collaboration, money, like you start to vibrate at a much higher frequency. So it really is a beautiful tool, and you, dependent on where you're coming from, you can either use it as a real practical implementation into your business, or you can come from the other side and really incorporate it as a real spiritual practice as well in your business. So I feel like it's one size that fits all.
Mm-hmm. And I love like everything that you talked about. And I think that we can really use it to help us. We can build our business based on our human design, and even like our marketing strategy and everything. Like it can really go into everything, because once you understand your human design, I think you can now have the permission to do things differently, to do the things that feel more in alignment with you and who you are. So Abby, I always felt guilty, not guilty, I felt like I wasn't, not good enough, but I felt like I wasn't smarter than others, right? Like that was the whole comparing thing, right? You were talking about how sometimes we compare ourselves to others, and we don't even know. Like once you understand, like now, like sometimes I'll have a friend and I'm like, "What's your human design?" Right? But but I felt like I wasn't smarter than others because, for example, then this is a silly, like it seems so small and silly, but I always, whenever I was like a guest on someone's podcast, and then they would send me the questions that they were going to ask me. And I'm like, wow, how did they do that? Right? Like, that's so cool that they can sit there and write down questions about what I'm going to talk about. Right. And I felt like, why can't I do that? Right. But it's not in my DNA. I am not meant to do that. That's not how I work. And I've accepted that now. And now that's why whenever a guest come on my podcast to speak about the thing that they're, a pro at, it only makes sense for them to give me some ideas of the questions that I can ask them, because it's their topic and also it's my design. So now I'm like, this is how I do it and this is why. Right? Yeah. But it's enlightened me in so many different ways and how I do things in my business, and it's allowed me to also not feel guilty about certain things. And even like when it comes to social media, even when it comes to marketing, even when it comes to writing to people into my email list, like everything. It's just really so cool. And I don't know if you've noticed, maybe you have, because we've known each other for a little bit now, but I thrive when I speak to other people, when I have a two-way conversation with another entrepreneur. This is where I strive rather than having conversation by myself. That's why I don't like, there's only a handful of episodes on my podcast that are me alone. That's why I always have guests, because this is where I thrive. I thrive off of having conversation with someone. So it's just a beautiful thing once you know your human design. And also, like you were saying, for some coaches, actually not for some coaches, I think that it would be beneficial for all of us in our businesses. Like you said, it helps you coach your clients, because you know how they receive information, or how they work and how they do business, right?
Yeah, I love that you're speaking. Oh, there's so many things I want to share with you after what you've just said. I love that you know that about yourself, first of all. I love it. I love, because how often that exact scenario where you're like, well, why can't I write questions like that? And you're beating yourself up about it. And actually, like, once you release that, well, it's not my thing, then that's fine. Because actually what you do, you're doing with the podcast application, brilliant. You're delegating it to the person that's going to come on to be your guest to do it themselves. You could delegate it to a team member. You could have a team member that absolutely loves writing questions, and you can delegate it to them. So it's really releasing that, because I do feel that we do put ourselves under so much pressure. I have to be good at everything. I was so conditioned to be like that from childhood, right? And through society and our culture and our upbringing and college and university and schooling, like I have to be good at everything. I have to prove myself. So I'm constantly proving that I'm clever enough, that I'm good enough, that I'm intelligent enough, I'm fun enough, pretty enough, whatever it might be. And it's oh, by the way, I meant to say this. If you're listening to this and you don't know what your human design is, and it's the first time you've ever heard about human design, this is free to you. It's free to access your human design chart. You can go onto any human design website and you can download your chart for free. You can go over to my website, which is abigailrebecca.com. If you do abigailrebecca.com/human design, you can then download, you'll get instant access to your human design chart. Generators, really able to create more magic when they are with other people. Generators are not designed to be on their own. So again, I'm really so happy that you know that about yourself. I also know I've also been able to recognize who my clients are in terms of their human design. So you're talking about like marketing yourself. Like, I know how now to attract clients in through my marketing, through social media, for example. I'm a line 4 in human design, which means I get my opportunities through other people. It also means that it's really important for me to build communities. I can't sell to strangers. How many thousands and thousands of dollars have I spent on training and masterminds and with coaches, trying to learn how to sell to strangers? I cannot sell to strangers. I now know that about myself. So I've saved myself a lot of money in the long run. So I know that my clients they need to get to know me. They need to warm up to me. So therefore, I give them lots of opportunity to do that. And I recognize that about them, and it's fine. But also, I know who my clients are in terms of human design. You know, I do work with a lot of projectors because projectors want to learn how I've built my business being a projector. Manifestors also love to work with me, and I do have lots of manifesting clients, but the majority of my clients are actually manifesting generators, and they have an open heart within their human design, and they either have a 4 or a 5 in their profile. So immediately I know who I'm marketing to. So actually, when you were talking, Julie, about, you know, writing emails to your list, I now know who my clients are, so I can talk to them on a deeper level, because I know the challenges that they might have, or the aspirations that they want, or the things that they want to create, because I know their human design. So it's an incredible marketing tool, and I believe a very untapped resource. Now, I don't teach other entrepreneurs to learn about human design so that they can apply that in their business. There's lots of incredible people out there that do that. I specifically help my clients work towards their 7-figure business using their human design and the other elements that I bring to the table. But I would definitely look at deeper, if this is lighting you up and you're listening to this, really, you know, maybe it might be worth looking at your clients, and you attract the same type of client. So I can bet my bottom dollar you'll also be attracting the same human design type. And that information is like gold dust for marketing.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. Yes, I know. I have a friend who actually teaches you how to, you know, all that stuff that you don't. So that's really good. But and there's so many resources out there as well that we can, you know, I think once we know ourselves, and human design is, and I think you can agree with me that it's one of those things that you don't learn something today and know everything about human design overnight, right? Like, it's a journey, and it's going to take time for you to learn all the things. It's pretty complex, right? Like, there's a lot that goes into creating who you are. But, you know, we're talking about all these different types of human design. What are the 5 main human design types / strategies?
Yeah, I'd love to share. So so 5 human design types. We have manifestors, manifesting generators, projectors, reflectors. When we are talking about strategy, each human design type has a certain strategy that if you were to go out there and experiment and follow it, you will probably find that your life will work out a lot easier than it has been, because what you're doing is you're kind of like working within your natural tendencies and energy flow, so floating downstream instead of obviously trying to struggle upstream. And we're always trying to find more effective ways and solutions to be able to kind of find that flow within our business. So human design is an incredible tool for that. So for generators and manifesting generators, you are very different. Believe you me. Generators and manifesting generators are very different. But when we're talking about strategy, you do follow the same strategy. There's a slight variance, but only when we really go into the rabbit hole of human design. So the strategy for generators and manifesting generators is to wait to respond. You wait to respond to something or someone. We're very conditioned to initiate. You need to go out there. You need to make it happen. Rah, 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 rah. And if you think about, it's kind of going away from this a little bit, but certainly when I started on my entrepreneurial journey, about 7-8 years ago, a lot of the teachers and the coaches out there that were teaching, especially around marketing, it was all about like the outreach and the go and get it. And they were very much training and coaching from Manifestor. And a manifestor is actually the only human design type that is designed to initiate. The other human design types are designed to wait to something or someone, for something or someone. So generators, manifesting generators, you will have a deep conditioning within you to act, but your strategy is to wait. You don't have to wait very long. You've got this beautiful aura that will draw things into you. But if you wait to respond instead of trying to initiate, you will find that there'll be less roadblocks, there'll be less resistance, and your business and your life, there'll be much more of an ease and flow to it. So I've already spoken about mentioned manifestors as well. So manifestors only make up like 9% of the population, so a very rare breed, a very powerful dynamic type of human design. So manifestors, their strategy is to inform before they act. So manifestors are the only human design type that is designed to initiate, but it's very important for manifestors to inform before they initiate. And again, there's a deep conditioning and a tendency to like, I can just go and do it myself. And then what happens is if you try and initiate on your own without letting anyone know, there will be huge resistance. And I am working with a manifestor at the moment who is learning about this about herself every single day, that she can't just go out there and do things without informing her team. Because what happens is when she goes and initiates like an incredible manifestor that she is, her team resist it and put up blocks. So she needs to learn to inform her team. She's not asking for permission. She's just saying, hey, heads up, just to let you know, I'm going to do this. And again, if you follow that strategy, there'll be a lot less resistance. Then there will be more of a flow. Projectors have a very different strategy. So projectors are not designed to work hard. We're not designed to hustle. We're designed to be the wise guides, predominantly to the generators and manifesting generators. But projectors, the strategy for a projector is to actually wait to be invited. Now, I found it very, very difficult to understand this as a projector, because I was like, if I have to wait for the invitation every time that I want to do something, then how on earth am I going to run my business? But it's really learning how to do that from a proactive and empowered way. It's not a passive way of being. It just means that you need to learn to show up in a different way and actually understand that unsolicited advice and initiation is not good when you're a projector. So it's about being invited into things. And then finally, we have beautiful reflectors. Reflectors are the unicorn of the human design world, only 1% of the population. And reflectors have all of their centers open, which means that they act as a mirror to all of us. Very beautiful moon people. And actually, that is the strategy of the reflector, believe it or not. The strategy is to wait for the full moon cycle, which is dependent on what month it is. It averages out 28.5 days. Now, this isn't about, I'm going to decide what I'm going to have for dinner. I need to wait for a full moon cycle. It's really about the bigger life decisions. So it's kind of leaning into that. That's a very, very snapshot, high level overview of the strategies. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more depth. There's a lot more elements that are added to it. But even if you just go away and start to experiment with your strategy, you'll see that things fall into place a lot more easily. And like you rightly said, Julie, we never, ever stop learning about human design, ever. We're all students. We're all students of human design, and it's about going out there and experimenting and just trying it, just test the water, Ra Uru, who had the divine downloads in Ibiza in the 80s, you know, I always misquote him with this, but he said in a roundabout way, don't believe a word that I say, just go out and try it. And I think that with everything, we have a free will, we have a free mind. Just go out and take this and experiment with it and see what shows up for you. And you'll probably want to learn more once you start to see that things start to change a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And it's so true, right? Like, you're not the first one that said that. Like, my other human design friend said the same thing. You free will, right? Like, so you don't, like, once you learn about your human design, doesn't mean that you have to do it that way, right? Like, you can go play and you can go experiment and see what feels right, what doesn't feel right, and then we figure it out as we go along, right? Same thing with business. That's so cool. I just love it. And you can get a lot of information just from doing that just getting your free chart, because there's like the basic, information there. And that's the perfect amount of human design information to go along with explaining your chart that you need at the beginning. And then you can dive deeper into, it can go on so much, right?
Yeah, you can really go down the rabbit hole, Julie.
Yeah, it's very rabbit hole. Okay, so now you are the visibility goddess. So how can we use this knowledge to leverage visibility and ultimately business growth?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I love to apply human design to visibility and to business growth. And human design it's like a it's like a manual for life. So it can be applied to all sorts of things, like your love life. It can be applied to like raising your children, like your health. There's so many ways that it can be applied, but I use it to apply to visibility. So I mentioned before, about the fact that when I learned that I was a line 4 within human design, I was like, well, hang on a minute, what? I can't sell to strangers? What? That's like my whole strategy that I'm constantly like, don't like, but I'm being told that I have to do it again and again and again. So what it does is when you learn about your human design, and human design predominantly is about building relationships with others, which is business, and building relationship with yourself, which is all about self-love and self-care. You can use that then to apply it to your visibility strategy. So how am I going to show up in the world? How am I going to be able to build those relationships? How am I going to be more visible? So, just learning about my energy type as a projector, knowing that if I try and hustle and work hard, I'm going to be burnt out. So I'm not going to be on social media all day long. I end off. So actually, how am I going to be visible in my way with my flow as a generator, Julie, knowing that it's really important for you to do the work that lights you up. And if you're not doing the work that's lighting you up, you're not going to want to be visible. So actually, how are you going to build your change, tweak things that you're doing, be able to delegate to your team? So that it can be, I always say that human design can be used as a blueprint. You can put it directly on your business growth. You can put it directly on your business visibility strategy and use it really as a guide in order to grow your business. And I do truly believe that when we are in our zone of genius, when we really understand our purpose, how our energy flows, how we build relationships, the environments that make us thrive, like all these elements that you find out within your human design, it makes us feel better about ourselves. It makes us feel good. And that automatically will create a buzz and will just automatically bring people into our world anyway, either people that will be able to refer you, or you can build relationships with, or that you can, that will buy your programs, that will come and work with you. Lots of different business opportunities. So you will get that organic growth as well as the strategy that you can apply human design to.
Mm-hmm. I love that, because when your human design and you start showing up as that person, right, and allowing yourself to do so, people will recognize that because it's all about energy, right? And so they're just going to be drawn to you more now because you're more in alignment with who you are and you understand more like who you are, and you're able to show up and do the things that light you up. Like forever, Abby, I was like, I have no desire to do the back end work of the podcast. And so I stalled forever until I have a VA now, and he's really good at doing that stuff. So I record and that's it. I record and I'm a tech nerd. So I love like downloading it from Zoom and putting it in Cast Magic and putting it in the Google folder. But that's as far as I go. After that, it's in his hands and he does everything. So it's knowing that about you, and I think that it can really 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 help you figure things out in your business and not feel guilty or bad about like the things that you think you should enjoy doing or whatever that might be, right? And I know that sometimes, you know, we let ourselves be held back by like just being more visible. And so what are the most common limiting beliefs, Abby, that you've seen that keep us from being more visible?
I think it's limiting beliefs and fears that predominantly as women, you know, the majority of women that I speak to, we all have or we have had at some point within our lives. So I think fears of, you know, being too much, being rejected, fears of being judged, criticized. You know, I was speaking to one of my clients the other day, actually, and she is doing so well within her business and she's really growing and thriving and it's incredible. But she has lost a lot of friends along the way. A lot of people have fallen away from her life because they don't resonate with her anymore. Maybe there's a little bit of jealousy there. Maybe she doesn't have things in common with some of her friends because they're at different stages within their life, different stages within their business. And she actually we uncovered a real fear with her the other day that actually there might be a little bit of self-sabotage that's going on unconsciously while she's building her business, because she's like, I don't want to be able to sacrifice even more relationships. You know, what if the relationship with my husband is damaged? Because I'm good, and this is like a whole of this story, right? Like about all of that, right? But we have all of these fears around going out there and being more visible that can really, really stop us. That can prevent us from going out there. So I think it's really important that we are able to share that and we're able to vocalize that and we're able to clear it. And, you know, I always say new level, new devil. So I always find whenever we come to a new kind of level of business, whenever we grow our business, whenever we grow our team, whenever we raise our prices, whatever stage we're at of expansion, those visibility fears will still come in, but you'll be able to deal with it in a more effective way because you've got a good understanding of it and you're able to clear it. But yeah, I see that all the time. Why do we do that, right? Why do we do it? It's like the famous like Marianne Williamson quote about, you know, being afraid of being so great. We're so great, but we're so scared of stepping into that. So it's really an understanding. And I believe that human design can really help us with that. I have a client with an open heart center who's trying so hard all of the time to prove herself, prove her worth. So she was just overworking and burning herself out. Even as a generator, she was burning herself out because she wasn't doing the work that was lighting her up. And realizing that about herself, she's been able to step back and really look at, okay, am I doing my work? Am I doing the things that are really lighting me up, or just doing it in order to prove myself to others? So you can really shift in your own self-perception and your own self-care through human design.
That's awesome. I love that. And I love the stories that you share about your clients, right? Because it gives us a little bit of perspective. So I'm going to put that link in the show notes, your on your website, the human design, where people can get their chart. So I'll make sure to, if you don't know what your chart is and you're listening to this and you want to know, I will put the link to that in the show notes. So that was so good. Did you want to close before we talk about your amazing freebie? You've got an awesome ebook for us. Do you want to close with anything, our conversation?
I think it's just to say, obviously we've been talking about human design quite a lot, and, I apply it to be invisible. I truly believe that all the, like, if you think about all the, like, the personal development work that we're doing, that we invest in ourselves, or, maybe people invest in us, whatever it might be, our whole business is like a personal development program. Our business
Our
is
whole
like,
life. I think that personal development program we need to have all the time, forever. Like, that's how we grow into who we are meant to become, right?
exactly. And I just think, about all the stages within my business, and the challenges, and, the challenges that I help my clients with, and how I help them to step into their biggest, because a lot of the clients that I work with actually have bigger businesses than me. Right. So this isn't about, like, teaching people how to run businesses and business strategy. This is about really coming back to yourself and really accepting yourself and managing your own energy and caring for yourself as your business grows. So I think, human design is an incredible resource to bring you back to self-love. And I just want to leave with a message of love. It's not the only tool. There are so many amazing tools out there, and I'm sure that you interview so many incredible experts that are able to share their knowledge and their wisdom and their gifts. I think, a valuable lesson for me as I've been growing my business is just do the things that light you up, do the things that excite you, and always, always put yourself first. And anything you can do to really honor yourself and learn more about yourself and accept yourself and love yourself is always a step in the right direction.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So you have Illuminate from Within ebook. Tell us what that is and why we cannot wait and shouldn't wait to download it.
Yeah. So what I found is, and, I've been doing this work. It's been a work in process. I have to say, I started off as a personal stylist, actually. And I've kind of, like, transitioned into what I'm doing now. And there's still some style elements that I work with my clients, very important when it comes to visibility. But I found that, like, throughout my work with women, either one-on-one or retreats that we run or workshops, etc., it's always like the first few steps that was kind of consistent. So in the end, I just decided that I was going to put it together in a book. So it's a book. It's called Illuminate from Within, and it's the 7 steps I share with my clients to help them to be more authentically visible using their human design. So if you're vibing with human design and you want to be more visible, then this is a free resource for you. And there are exercises within the book. So it's a workbook. You know what, Julia, I keep saying to myself, I need to create a course around it, because it's literally, it's like, I feel it's like a signature program. And at the moment it's in book form, and maybe eventually I'll do something with it, but at the moment it's in book form. So there are quests within there, and there's also, I love, like, reflection, and I love getting my clients to ask themselves the questions for further learning. So there's lots and lots of questions in there for you to either meditate or journal on, whatever your vibe is. So you can take that, and that's my gift to you for free.
Amazing. And so you can find that link in the show notes, and I will have all the information and also where we can find Abby. So Abby, if I vibe with you, I vibed with you for the moment I first met you. But if people are listening to this, amazing people, and they're totally vibing with you, how do you help your clients? And I mean, I know you talked about that a little bit at the beginning, but how can we find you, and maybe how can we work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is abigailrebecca.com. There are loads of free resources on there. Actually, I have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. I have a blog. If you get onto my email list from there, I very often do free workshops. I love to bring communities together. So I do that once a month as well. And then if you want to kind of do some deeper work with me, well, first of all, with your human design, there is actually a book that you can download that you can that will tell you all about your human design. So that resource is on there. And then I'd really love to connect as well on Insta. I love to hang out on Instagram. So I'm the visibility goddess on most social media channels. So please connect with me on there, send me a message, say that you found me through Julie, and I'd love to connect with you that way as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Abby, for being on the show today. I know that we probably could have had like a full day conversation about human design. Yeah. It's such a big, complex, not complex in the way that it's complicated, but there's so many layers to it. And it's such a beautiful thing that we get to know who we are at the core and how we were designed. So thank you so much again for being on the show. It's been so great talking to you. And yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
And if you're listening to this episode, I will talk to you on the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Build Your Beautiful Business podcast. If you did, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Julie's included a link in the shows to make it nice and easy for you. And if you want to create a beautiful, profitable business of your own, make sure to go unlock your access to Julie's 6 must-have resources for female entrepreneurs. These resources will help you build and grow your business with simplicity and ease. You can find them at juliecbutler.com/freebie vault. We'll see you in the next episode.